The entertainment world is stunned today when internationally celebrated and reclusive filmmaker Von Kovac sprung out of retirement to sign on for a remake of Wonder Man. Mr. Von Kovac, could you tell us more?
Everyone is tired of superheroes. There is an opportunity to reimagine a whole genre of storytelling.
Have you thought about casting?
So, what's this big audition you were talking about?
It's a huge opportunity. I'm auditioning for Wonder Man.
Did you hear about Wonder Man? I need to be in this movie.
Sorry, you crazy.
I was born to play this character.
Oh, you serious? Boo, they are already talking to Leo.
You just gotta go out there and crush it.
What's wrong?
I'm trying to come up with a backstory for the character.
Well, trust the words. Just show up and say them.
That's not my process.
Well, your process can go blow a spider.
Guy's killing it in there, bro.
Where have I seen him before?
Pretty sure he used to be a terrorist.
Next! You can slate whenever you're ready.
Simon Williams, reading for Wonder Man.
Listen to me, Simon. The callback is happening now. Just be normal.
Normal man. The breakdown is go method.
Come in. Mr. Kovac will meet you in the living room.
So you all here to meet Von Kovac?
Hello, everyone. I want to explore the place between fiction and non-fiction.
That's tight.
We are going to make the last movie on Earth. No one will have the balls to make another. And action!
Any news from Von Kovac?
There is news. You'll be the first to know.
Unless you call me again, in which case I will never tell you.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Happy New York Comic-Con week. Marvel officially released the Wonder Man trailer. It's releasing in January now. It's been delayed by a month. There's a bunch of Easter eggs here. It gets super meta because it's meant to be canon to the MCU, but they're treating it like a lot of real-life Easter eggs, like they're calling out superhero fatigue inside the actual trailer. There are a lot of references to TV shows, things that are happening in Hollywood in real life that are now canon to the MCU. Like, a really good example is that he's playing Simon Williams, the Wonder Man character in the comics, or based on the Wonder Man character, but in the context of the universe, the MCU, Wonder Man was an old superhero movie from a long time ago that they're rebooting in present day with a brand new famous director. The actual series seems like it's going to be meta in the same way that the Wandavision series was, the way the Deadpool, Wolverine, other Deadpool movies get, where it calls out a lot of tropes of movies and TV shows. Like, they literally talk about reimagining a classic superhero during the trailer in the context of the MCU, but that's also literally what Marvel Studios is doing when they're making the episodes for this series, reimagining a classic character for modern audiences. Generally, it seems like it's going to be one of those series like WandaVision that operates on like 4 different levels, like it's playing 4-dimensional chess, so it's way, way deeper with its Easter eggs and references. When he says in the trailer, I was born to play this character, I have to play, and he keeps trying to audition, and he actually does get Wonder Man powers, so he becomes the character who is already a fictional character in the history of the MCU. You also probably noticed him on the set of American Horror Story, like he's a working actor in Hollywood, so he's playing a part on American Horror Story, but Evan Peters is on that show, and in the MCU, he is also Ralph Bohner, and he is also a version of Quicksilver, too, if you're talking about multiverse X-Men related stuff. So it just gets super, super meta. It's sort of like the Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury kind of thing. Like, he played Mace Windu during the Star Wars prequels, which are canon. The Star Wars movies are canon inside the MCU. People know about Star Wars. They know about the prequels. They know about Mace Windu. Spider-Man has seen all of them. But you also have Samuel L. Jackson, who plays Nick Fury, who looks just like Mace Windu. People have asked Kevin Feige about this so many times. What does Nick Fury think about Mace Windu in the Star Wars prequels? In the way that he talks about it, he says that most people treat it like a coincidence in the MCU, like, you look a lot like that Mace Windu actor. So it almost feels meta in the way that the Deadpool movies, like Deadpool Wolverine, all the other Deadpool movies are super meta with a lot of fourth wall breaks. But I don't think that the Wonder Man series is meant to break the fourth wall literally the same way the Deadpool movies do, where he like turns to camera and breaks the fourth wall. There's a whole bunch of Iron Man Easter eggs in here because of Trevor Slattery. They even include some footage from Iron Man 3 in this. So we'll see if they actually wind up doing that in the series because they splice it into the actual trailer. So it sounds like we'll actually be seeing cut-tos in the actual series for stuff like this.
Worse than the costumes Mom made us the year we got typhus.
That's not exactly how I remember it.
It almost feels like the way the Wandavision series got super meta in that when it called out a lot of TV tropes. So we'll just start at the beginning of the trailer footage and work our way through shot by shot, talking about the more direct Easter eggs and some of the more subtle nods, some of like the meta Easter eggs too. The actual trailer starts on the Hollywood sign, but there's a radio show with the announcer talking to Von Kovacs, who is played by the actor who was in the Superman movie playing the Baravian president working with Lex Luthor that Hawkgirl wound up killing. So that's why he looks familiar. You recognize him from the Superman movie. Von Kovacs isn't an actual real-life person. He's a fictional director that they created inside the MCU, but the idea is that he's like a Steven Spielberg kind of figure, very, very famous older director who just hasn't made a lot of movies recently. He's been retired, and he's coming out of retirement to direct the reboot of an in-universe MCU Wonder Man movie, who it actually looks like existed back in the 1960s, which I think is meant to be a reference to the origin of the Wonder Man character in the comics, who debuted in Avengers number 9 in October 1964. So that's why it seems like they shot an in-universe B-movie with the character during the 1960s of the MCU with these actors in present day. So that gets super meta. That is also why the in-universe Wonder Man movie from the 1960s looks like an episode of Star Trek The Original Series with William Shatner and all the original actors, because that was also filmed during the 1960s in this same way. You also notice that the design of that 1960s costume is based on the Wonder Man costume in the comics too. Like, it's much more accurate to the actual comics themselves. He directly calls out superhero fatigue, which is something that people have been talking about in real life right now post-Avengers Endgame. When he talks about the opportunity to reimagine a whole genre of storytelling, that's literally stuff that Kevin Feige has said in real life before. So it's also parodying people like Kevin Feige, people like James Gunn that are rebooting DC with like a whole new era of DC movies. And the other side of this big joke here is when the director, in the context of the trailer, says they're reimagining this old superhero that people have gotten tired of for a new audience, doing something fresh with the character. That's literally what Marvel Studios in real life is doing with the Wonder Man series. They're trying to reimagine the classic Wonder Man character for modern audiences, like they do with a lot of other characters. There's a lot of in-universe merch, there's a lot of tie-ins. We know, because this is the MCU, that superpowered people existed in the MCU in the 1960s. There just weren't as many of them running around publicly the way there are in present day. But I think the idea is that in the 1960s, this Wonder Man character was completely fictional. One of the really meta things about the Simon Williams Wonder Man character in the original Marvel comics is that he was a super meta character in that his real-life persona that he hid as was as the Simon Williams Hollywood actor. So part of the idea is that he was hiding in plain sight as a regular actor, and a lot of the movies that he made were superhero types of adventures that he would then go on to have with the Avengers and the other characters. And it kind of seems like they're doing that now with this version of Yaya's Simon Williams character, where it'll kind of happen in reverse, where he's a Hollywood actor that then becomes the Wonder Man character that then gets powers and then goes on to have real-life superhero adventures in the context of the MCU, but also continues making superhero movies in Hollywood, like the fake in-universe movies.
Any news from Von Kovacs?
There is news, you'll be the first to know.
Unless you call me again, in which case I will never tell you.
Then we actually get the Simon Williams character played by Yaya with Trevor Slattery played by Ben Kingsley from Iron Man 3, from the Shang-Chi movie more recently. And the big joke here is that Trevor Slattery, who is an actor in the MCU, that was the reason why he became the fake version of the Mandarin for Aldrich Killian during Iron Man 3, says that he is actually going to audition for the role of Wonder Man, not Simon Williams. Like, that's the big joke here. No, it's a good role for me, because I'm the great actor here. Most of you probably will remember Yaya more recently from his time in the DCEU before the big James Gunn reboot in the Aquaman movies as Black Manta. He also played a version of Dr. Manhattan during the Watchmen series on HBO. So because Watchmen is actually canon to DC Comics, technically he's been two different DC characters, and now he's over in the Marvel Universe. I know there are going to be a ton of questions about the future of the character because he's going to have powers. We have Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars coming, Marvel Phase 7, all the X-Men stuff happening after. Don't worry, we will get to that too, because I do think there's a lot of West Coast Avengers energy going on inside the MCU just in general during Marvel Phase 4, Marvel Phase 5, the characters that they're introducing now, Marvel Phase 6. where they were watching Toro, which is a Japanese World War II movie. 20,000 Eyes is an old black and white crime drama. And Midnight Cowboy is a Robert De Niro movie. So Robert De Niro now canon to the MCU. There's also a lot of other actors that they mentioned during this too, like Leonardo DiCaprio, that are now canon to the MCU. It seems like he goes to his agency and just tells his agent that you need to get me an audition for this Wonder Man part. And there's a lot of the trailer just dedicated to that actual audition process in him meeting the director. Very, very meta when he says he was born to play this character because he is named Simon Williams like the original comic book character. And you remember, in universe, there is a version of Marvel Comics that does publish comic books based on superheroes. But the idea is that in the MCU, because superheroes have existed for a long time, that a lot of the comics that this version of Marvel Comics publishes are based on real-life events. There was even an Easter egg in the Fantastic Four movie in the 828 universe that was more direct and on the nose about this, with a version of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby working at a version of Timely Comics who were doing comics that Jack Kirby and Stan Lee did, Fantastic Four comics, Silver Surfer-related comics, all that stuff back in the day, based on what was happening in the events of that movie with Silver Surfer coming to the planet for the first time. Like, oh, wow, this character would make an amazing comic book character. Let's actually design her into the comic book here that we're doing based on the original Coming of Galactus story that actually is playing out in the events of that movie. It's a little bit like somebody in the MCU watching the first Avengers battle, the Avengers form, and saying, hey, that would actually make a cool comic book. Let's actually just make that a comic book. When he asks his agent about it, she laughs at him and basically says there's no chance that you can get this part because they're already talking to Leonardo DiCaprio. This is also probably a joke that the Wonder Man character in the comics is also Caucasian and Yaya, African American, is trying to get the part. If you've never seen a Hollywood audition for parts, this is kind of the way it plays out, or it used to play out. Now a lot of it is done on tape because of the pandemic. So like actors will tape themselves and just send a video, like a QuickTime file, to the casting people that will watch it.
Assure you the day weapons are no longer needed to keep the peace all happily transist to manufacturing bricks and beams for baby hospitals, making hemp pants and the like. But until that time, can I get you a drink?
This script he's making notes on are called the sides that they give the people who are auditioning for the part. But you notice Professor Harpin and Sarah, this is a classroom set the scene is playing out. You actually see it later when he goes to meet the director. This classroom set in the trailer is based on these sides. There are a couple of jokes about him trying to create a backstory for the character that does not exist. Like he's just trying to come up with his own backstory, and Trevor Slattery's just like, just go do it, dude. This is actually something that actors in real life do. Like they'll come up with their own backstory for characters that sometimes will not be text to the actual movie itself. Like you wonder about all these details about a character's history that the movie never actually gets into. When he says your acting process can go below a spider, that is probably meant to be a Spider-Man reference because Spider-Man is a known hero inside the MCU. It's just that because of the spell, nobody knows that Spider-Man is Peter Parker. They just know that there is a Spider-Man. There's a little joke about all the actors that are competing for the role and auditioning in the hallway, thinking that Trevor Slattery is crushing it to the casting directors, who are actually just laughing at him because they remember him as the fake version of the Mandarin from the events of Iron Man 3 long before the snap. You remember, it's actually been a long time since the events of Iron Man 3 inside the MCU because of everything that happened with Thanos, Avengers, Infinity War, the snap, the 5-year time jump, the blip, and everything else. Then they do get super meta when they mix in footage from that actual movie to this, so they might be using that filmmaking technique a couple times through the series where they cut to footage from actual other in-universe movies or other MCU movies that we've seen in real life. When his agent tells him that he got a call back and he gets to go meet the director and to go full method, that's a reference to him actually getting the powers of Wonder Man from the comics in the context of the MCU. Like he becomes the character, essentially, going full method, which is what that is. Basically, an actor turning into a character, believing that they really are a character, like Jared Leto, for instance, in real life, famous method actor that people clown on a lot for all the crazy stuff that he does when he gets so into character and gets method on sets. This is meant to be the director's mansion, his assistant here. She seems very ominous. When he actually says the goal of this Wonder Man reboot movie they're making is to blur the line between fiction and nonfiction and blow people away so much they never try to make another movie, it's also meant to be another reference to him actually getting in an accident and getting the Wonder Man powers, which we've actually seen in the other trailers too, where you see his eyes glowing. Then the title they end on is meant to be designed after a script page with a writer actually typing out the script for the series itself in that type of font. There's supposed to be a couple other big comic book characters from the Wonder Man lore, like Grim Reaper is supposed to show up during this. He was also an Easter egg during the Wandavision series too. Just because Wonder Man is so big to Scarlet Witch's history, I don't expect them to fully get into that during this, but part of the idea, I don't think that Wonder Man himself is a character, once he does get powers, is actually supposed to appear in Avengers Doomsday or Secret Wars. If he comes back, it probably won't be till after Secret Wars in the soft Marvel reboot, and they'll do something else with the character. But we will see if they actually reference a lot of other in-universe superheroes. Like, they'll probably reference the Avengers at different points because they literally reference them in pictures in the background of some of the trailers. There's so many Easter eggs and references going on during this. If there's anything you spotted in the trailer that I didn't talk about in the video, just write them below in the comments, and I'll add them in my future bonus videos. It's also New York Comic Con week, so there's a ton of other trailers they've already released, so I'll try to do videos for everything. I've already done a bunch of them so far, so I'll post links at the end of this. Marvel did show off Daredevil Born Again Season 2 trailer footage, X-Men 97 Season 2 trailer footage, but they didn't release them online. If they do wind up leaking out, I will do videos for them. There are a couple other big videos that I'm working on this weekend, so be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss anything. I've already done a couple big New York Comic Con trailer videos. Click here for my Night of the Seven Kingdoms Game of Thrones trailer, and click here for all my other New York Comic Con videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.